Hi and welcome to today's episode in which I try out Korean rice cakes for the first time. I popped into the Chinese supermarket the other day, needed to stock up on some bits, and I saw these on the shelf. So these are Korean rice cakes. These are, I believe, traditionally served with a hot pot, which is like a big soup that has lots of veggies, meat, seafood, that kind of thing in it. I subscribe to the Full of Plants newsletter, and they send out recipes every couple of days, and they keep sending recipes that use these Korean rice cakes. So when I saw them on the shelf, I thought, oh, that's going to be an interesting thing to try. I've never had them before, so I thought, well, I'll grab some and see what they're like. I also picked up some mushrooms from the supermarket. So these are white and gnocchi mushrooms, and these are brown simmered. I'll link to this video in the description for you. You cook them so they become very meaty and steak-like. For more plant-based food explorations like this one, like this video and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications if you want to be alerted as soon as anyone's published. Let's find out how to make it. My plan is to cook these off in some boiling water, and then I'll fry them in a bit of oil so they go maybe a little bit chewy in places. And then I'm just going to make a very simple, quick little stir fry to serve with it. The packet says after opening to refrigerate and eat within 3 days. So I think I'll cook off half of the amount, and then I've got half for a couple of days or something. These are on the shelf and they've come like vacuum packed. There also was a bag in the fridge section, and I think the fridge ones had been cooked already. They just needed to be reheated, whereas these are semi-dry maybe. These were half the price of the fridge ones. So I thought, well, I can cook them myself in 3 minutes, that's fine. Because these aren't cheap. This was £2.50. So I've got some water heating in that pan. That one at the back is going to be for the stir fry. I'll do the rice cakes at this one at the front. I'm going to fry the rice cakes off in this, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, laoganma maybe? It's black beans in chili oil, about that amount, tablespoon or so. Let that start to heat up. I might add a little bit more oil as well. I assumed these were kind of separate things, but they're not. It's one big brick. So I'm just going to chop that down. So the texture is very, how to describe it, almost plastic. Cut all of those up. So let's stick them in the pot. So I'll slide those in. Set my timer for 3 minutes. Give them a little nudge. I wonder if I should have put salt in the water, because it says to add the rice cakes to soup. Let's chuck them in. Yes, they're starting to plump up. Okay, they're done. So I'm going to pull this off the burner, and I'll switch pans around. And then into this pan, I'm going to drop in some sliced onions. I'm going to drop the rice cakes into the chili oil and beans. I'm going to throw in some of this Chinese leaf. This might be Napa cabbage. I've been soaking these little soy pieces, so these come dried. And I've just been soaking them in some stock. I'm going to drop those in. Show you the rice cakes. So they're frying up nicely. Kind of look like chips. Cooked off some edamame beans. These are a young soybean. And then for flavour, I'm going to use some ginger and garlic chili sauce. About a tablespoon or so. Some ketchup mayonnaise, like a thick, sticky soy sauce that's a bit sweet. I'll add some light soy sauce just to boost up the saltiness. Stir. And I think once that's cooked down a little bit, that's going to be good to go. That's everything all cooked off. Looking very inviting. So these dark bits on here, that's just the black beans. It's not burnt, don't worry. But yeah, they look very French fry-like. But the texture is kind of bouncy. I'm going to dive in. Try a bit of the tteokbokki on its own. Very bouncy. Reminds me a little bit of gnocchi. I quite like the crust on there as well. It's like a crusty skin almost, and then you've got really soft, tender inside. They taste very bland, but it's just rice, you know, so it's not going to have... They're not going to taste of much until you start putting things on there. But with a bit of that stir-fry sauce. Try it with the veggies and the soy pieces. Trying to get this in my mouth is going to be fun. It adds a different dimension of texture that's quite kind of bouncy. So it goes really nicely with the crunchiness of the Chinese leaf, the kind of meaty texture from the soy pieces, and then slight crunch from the onions. Yeah. Yeah, they do remind me of gnocchi, but lighter. The only thing putting me off them is the price. It's, you know, they're not cheap. So I said £2.50. I've just Googled it, and as of today, it works out at like $3.15. So they're not the cheapest thing. But if I could find them cheaper, I'd definitely make, you know, it'd be a regular thing to make, because they are very tasty and I enjoy that texture. At some point, I might see if I can find a recipe of how to make the things themselves. I have tried Googling it, like tteokbokki recipe, and it's just recipes that use them, you know. So if I can find a recipe on how to make my own, like the dough from scratch, because it's just, I think it's just rice flour. The ingredients on the packet just say rice, water and salt. So I'm assuming it's probably going to be a relatively easy one to make. I guess it's just getting the ratios down. But yeah, make a big dough, maybe roll up, you know, some long pieces, slice those down. I'll update the pinned comment if I ever do make my own, and then you can see how to make them. As ever, this video is made with huge gratitude for my patrons over on Patreon. Their financial support keeps the channel afloat and helps me buy delicious and new ingredients for me to try out. If you'd like to give that bit of extra financial support, you'll also get a bit of community as well. I'll leave the Patreon link down in the description for you. If you're also a fan of finding new ingredients and experimenting with them, like this video and subscribe to the channel. If you tap the bell icon, you'll be alerted as soon as a new one's published. And then while you're waiting for the next one, have a look at this.